Zugbakun. Today on the program, Presidential Election Petition Court upholds President Tinubu's election as Atiku Obi plan appeal. I'll be hanging out with Wale Adeoye and Mojit Jamnu, while Babajide Kolade Otitoju will be joining us via Zoom. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. The much-awaited verdict of the 2023 Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal has been delivered, but the impact is still reverberating nationwide. The five-man panel dismissed the petitions filed by candidates of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, and the Labour Party, Peter Obi, for failing to prove claims of irregularities against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the All Progressive Congress, APC, in the February 25th election. Atiku and Obi have rejected the judgment and vowed to challenge it at the Supreme Court. So, Babajide Kolade Otitoju and other guests saw this coming in our discussions in the issues decided by the tribunal. Let's share some of it with you.
They have valid grounds to say that they won the election. Facts are what they are. Obi can weep as much as he wants, but it will not validate the fact that he was defeated in this election.
The FCT election don't not count much.
No, the FCT is viewed. There have been 2 court cases.
Okay.
One decided by the Supreme Court, showing that you do not have to win the FCT to be elected. If you score the mandatory 25% in 24 states, even if you didn't score 25% in the FCT, you will be you are good to go. But some people in this season think that they can simply hoodwink or lie to Nigerians. They are now making it look like no president can be validly elected until he has won Abuja or until he has recorded 25% in Abuja. In the FCT. It is ignorance peddling, and it's a very shameful level of ignorance peddling. That if he does not get 25% in Abuja, he can't be elected. There's nowhere in the world where anybody has come up with that kind of law. Democracy is a very simple thing. You have the majority of the votes. You have the majority of the votes and the required spread. That is the route for the presidency.
Yeah.
The people in Abuja, they don't have 2 heads. The people who live in Abuja, they don't have 2 heads.
You know, they are comparing our constitution and our election to WAEC results. That WAEC will tell you that you must have 5 credits, including English and Maths.
Yeah.
And I said, this one is not like WAEC. It's like premiership, that just have the number of points, whether you beat the
if
the
I
top
get
team,
them correctly now, if I get their ridiculous logic
very
correctly,
ridiculous.
what they are saying is that Arsenal can beat anybody, but because it has not been able to beat Man City,
Man City.
It should not,
therefore it should not be crowned. It should not be crowned as a
Honestly, that's what they are
Premier
trying to say.
What is supposed to determine how the judges will come to their conclusions is the evidence put forward before the tribunal, not what people out there are saying. How many international observers, for example, came to our country? Less than 100 international observers observed from the EU observed the election in our country, less than 100. And we are talking about more than 170,000 polling centers. So 100 persons are certainly not enough and we are saying they are not even up to 100, the EU observers, are certainly not enough to assess how the election went in totality. What we see is the result of apprehension, nothing else. If you read the story completely and not just busy yourself with the headline and a few paragraphs, you see clearly that there is apprehension. You see clearly that some people expect the judgment to go along a particular line. It is not your place to expect the judgment to go in a particular line. You are not the judiciary. Let the judiciary exercise its mandate. And its mandate is to look at the totality of the evidence before it and come to its conclusion. A retired Chief Justice of the Federation once said that evidence is like building a house. If you do not provide the necessary material, the building will collapse. So if you come before a court and you fail to provide all of the evidence needed to enable you win the case, you are going to lose. So this matter will be decided in the final analysis based on the quantum of evidence available to those judges to work on.
Welcome back. Jude, all eyes on the judiciary. Now, it's done and dusted. Now, let's look at the key issues in the 2023 presidential election, Jude.
Yeah, the 2023 election was particularly very emotive, especially because the front runner, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was the front runner from the beginning. The front runner elected to go for a Muslim ticket, and that ruffled feathers. Many people felt that that was insensitive. Many people felt he should have picked a Christian from northern Nigeria, but he knew that he would not win the election if he did that. Because even in 1993, when we were not as polarized as we are today, Abiola had to choose a candidate he had to pick his deputy from the northeast, from a majority tribe in a part of the northeast. So, in the northeast. So, Tinubu knew from the beginning that, from his calculations, he knew that if he picked a Christian, he would not win the election. And yes, many of us as Christians did not find that funny, but the man was not in the race to impress us. He was in the race to win. He wanted to win, and he was prepared to do whatever he needed to do legally to win. So he opted for a ticket that made so many pastors to be angry, made so many Christians to be angry, and even some Muslims who wanted to exploit the situation kept arguing that, oh, what he did was wrong and he will not win the election. We saw some real impotent boasting on the part of some Christians from the north, saying that he will not, especially people like Babashir Lawal, who fell out with him, and he said Bola will not be elected president. You know, these days we hardly hear anything from Babashir Lawal, who was actually one of those who encouraged Asiwaju to contest the election in the first place. So that decision polarized our people, polarized our country, and for that, many have not forgiven him, and they did all that they could do to make sure that he did not win the election. And even after he won the election, they continued to push for him not to be inaugurated. People like Baba Onayekon continue to push that, oh, he cannot be inaugurated. But whereas they watched Obasanjo and others inaugurated way before their matters were decided in court. Obasanjo's matter in respect of the 2023 election was decided in 2006. I mean, in respect of the 2003 election was decided in 2006. I was in the Supreme Court to cover the judgment. So 3 good years. But our people, some of them were not even prepared to wait for 1 month. But in the end, other matters, including the fact that people were angry with the APC administration. Remember, fuel scarcity was such a terrible thing in the weeks leading to the election. The issue of Naira repainting by the worst CBN governor in Nigerian history. It also happened during that time. So all of those things made the election very emotive and extremely competitive. So from that point, you will not be surprised that even when the judgment has come, people are not prepared to accept it. There are many people today who will only believe that the judiciary has done well when the judgment favors them. It's such a bad thing that we are only happy with the judiciary when the judgment is in our favor. When the judgment is not in our favor, we say, oh, the judiciary has done badly.
Democracy
it's just like a weak student. Yes, it's just like a weak student. When he scores anything above 50, he will say, I scored 60. But if he scored 45 or 48, he will say, the teacher gave me 48. That is how we are. But at some point, we have to stop and ask ourselves, what do we gain from this kind of abhorrent behavior? Elections have come and gone. People must be ready to play the game by its rules. When you lose, agree that you lose. And congratulate the winner. Rather than eating up the polity and making it look like, oh, as long as I do not win, then the election couldn't have been free and fair. As long as the judges do not decide in my favor, then the judges must have been compromised. Come on. That's to stop at some point.
All right. Okay. Mamji, let's look at this 25% issue. It was tested and decided.
Well, I hope that somebody will not wake up tomorrow again and be talking about 25%. See, how can you come third? And I mean, I will now claim that, Justice Mistura Bolaji Yusuf, while reading the judgment, he said, in their evidence, in their wild goose chase, while dumping the evidence on them, he said, on this 25% issue, he said they now wrote in capital and 25% in Abuja. She emphasized that. And I think I give kudos to Justice Mistura. I mean, they spell her name Misitura in the log of the appeal court. Mistura. She was the cynosure of all eyes yesterday. Fantastic. The other judges did well. But you see, how can you expect that because you score 25% in Abuja, only you, LP here, scored 25% in Abuja, whereas you didn't even have spread. You only have 25% in, I think, less than 20 other states. The law says 25% in at least 24 states. And in this instance, now we believe that Abuja is, quote and unquote, a state where Wike is now the governor general, quote and unquote. So, for you to win an election, not only in Abuja, the people in Abuja have been to Abuja some few times. They don't have 2 heads. They also walk with 2 legs. So why would they be more important than me from Ekiti? Ekiti was the first state to return 100% for Ashiwaju. So are you saying that those of us in Ekiti, because our Yoruba is not too fluent, you say we are not part of this equation? Or you from Ondo, that your language is very close to that of your dialect is very close to those from Delta. They say you are not that those from Abuja are more Nigerian than you are. It's a no. It is 25% in 24 states, including or excluding Abuja. Abuja is as good as any other state in the federation. Abuja is a federal constituency when it comes to presidential elections. We have said this thing, and I wonder how some lawyers, senior advocates of Nigeria, will go to the Supreme Court and argue that. And that's why the woman, Justice, was very mad at them. I said, do you expect this court to go on the streets or into the market state and fetch evidence for you when you have 133,000 agents all over the country and you cannot produce one evidence? And you are now, I mean, they've been quiet on social media now. They have been quiet a bit. But I know as they are warming up to the Supreme Court, maybe their voice will start coming up again. But we want them.
The petition also faced the alleged double registration of the vice president, and it led it to rest.
I think first of all, I wish to commend all the parties, whether Labour Party, PDP, and APC. I think what Nigerians expect is justice for Labour Party, justice for PDP, and justice for APC, and justice for the society itself. For going to court is an admission of the fact that you want to accept the outcome of the judgment. And I think they're also aware that all the parties are aware that there's a terminal date, which is maximum of 180 days. So for going to court, I think it enriches democracy, instead of resorting to violence. And I also think we have made some progress, like Babajide said. In the past, it used to be waiting for 3 years, 3.5 years. So I think we are making some progress. And then I hope that lawyers, political parties, and all the stakeholders will learn from the presentation of the judges, the learned judges. Because if you read up that lasted for so many hours, take your time to read it. You will see that they were thorough. And it was like the operation of a surgeon. They treated every strand on its own merit. There was none that was isolated. And when you look at the way they presented their, the judgment, you will know that when facts are, when you see the truth, it starts you, in your face.
Yeah.
Because the question I've just mentioned about double registration, one of the judges said he describes it as estopre parem judicatum. That is a case that has been decided by highest authorities. There was no need bringing such issues again. Then, there are also so many cases that had to do with pre-election matters that ordinarily should not have been brought, before the tribunal. And I think something is significant. The judgment was unanimous. There was no dissenting opinion. And I think in my view, we are trying to enrich democracy. But when you look at the fact that, if you look at that judgment, is the way the day will look, you can judge from the morning. If you look at this judgment, it gives us an idea of where the pendulum at the Supreme Court may likely swing. Because yes, there's a need to go to the Supreme Court. Because if you are having elimination series in a football, and a football team is down by 98-0, and you now want to go to the final, to meet up without deficit is not going to be an easy thing. We must also not forget that you need a very good lawyer. Look at Wole Olanipekun, the years of experience, the number. I've monitored the cases he has handled. There is need for you need to be diligent when you are presenting your petition. You must show experience, you must show understanding, you must show clear vision about what the law says. So I think there is a lot of technical issues. Even when I was reading the position of the lawyer of the Labour Party, he said we are going to go to court, and he mentioned one thing. He said out of 30 witnesses, 10, are struck out. Yeah. And I'm wondering, in an election in 36 states, you are having just 13 witnesses. They need to go and study the election case in Ekiti State, Ekiti, Edo, Osun, and see the effort put in. the group, the AC at that time, went to London to get forensic experts. 63.
Adrian 40.
Yes, 63 of them. 50 of them were from the British police.
Yeah, Metro.
50 of them. And they worked for 6 months. And they had to deal with 1.3 million votes. And if you look at that, special case, they isolated 63 votes. They were not talking about malpractices in all the, but in this case, the petitioner is talking about malpractices in 176,000 polling units. That's contradictory because it also affects your own polling units. That's the point. Irregularities in 8,000 wards out of 8,806. So it means that you're also saying that in your own area there are irregularities. Yeah. So I think there are a lot of contradictions that.
Okay, now the issue of transmission of results through IREV also was taken to court, and it was also cleared by these judgments.
Yes, and I am not surprised because that matter was decided in the Osun Tribunal, the Osun Tribunal matter. In the contest between Oyetola and Adeleke, which got to the Supreme Court. At the level of the appeal court, that matter was decided. There is no law that stipulates that INEC must post results on IREF in real time. I've said it repeatedly. Some people have been abusing me, but it's what the judges said in deciding the Osun governorship in favor of Adeleke, because Oyetola brought issues. Oyetola's lawyers brought issues around IREF, and they decided conclusively that you don't have to post results on IREF in real time. Which means if INEC decides to post it 2 days later, 5 days later, 10 days later, it is well within INEC's right to do so. In any case, as I've said repeatedly, the primary evidence lies in Form EC8A, which is the result sheet collected from polling centers. That result sheet, the police will have their copy, DSS will have their copy, and agents of all the parties. That is your primary source of evidence. It is the same result sheet that is usually photographed and posted on IREV. So building a case on IREV is potentially fatal, and the judges, Supreme Court judges, Appeal Court judges have decided that already in the Oyetola versus Adeleke. So they should have expected that is the way it will end. In any case, the law also permits INEC to determine the modus of transmission of results that it wishes, whether manual or electronic. So this is the thing. For me, I wasn't surprised after reading. I picked up valuable lessons reading the judgment in the case of Oyetola, because I had expected that Oyetola, having won at the lower tribunal, will go on to win even in the final court. But the judges said, one, the other judges on the panel at the tribunal one of them did not write his judgment. That it is mandatory for judges to put their conclusions in writing. And I saw that on May 28th this year, when the Supreme Court decided on Shetima's so-called double registration, each of those judges actually put his conclusions in writing. So because it didn't happen in the case of Oyetola, it was fatal to Oyetola's case. They also ruled that while Oyetola's lawyers affirmed that Adeleke was parading our streets with fake results, that they needed to have brought the principal of his school to confirm whether that certificate emanated from their school.
Okay.
They also ruled on the matter of. So naturally, I wasn't surprised that the matter of IREV was decided in that matter, and I have spoken about it before, so I'm not surprised.
Okay. We'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll discuss more on this verdict. We'll be right back.
In today's world, our lifestyle, both at work and at play, depends on connectivity. Our connectivity depends on the devices that make it possible, and these devices depend on electric power. When power fails, our life shrinks, our work drops, and our joy dips. JRB Solar Energy Systems are here to ensure that we enjoy uninterruptible power, uninterruptible joy. Whether you're running a business, an institution, or just a home you return daily to rest, JRB has got you covered. No project is too big for our super digital inverters, long-lasting batteries, and efficient solar panels. Go, dream on, change your world. JRB Solar Inverters, batteries, solar panels, solar streetlights, and more. Telephone 0906 752 1111. Email sales@jrbsolar.com. With JRB, the sun's gonna shine on everything you do.
Thank you for staying with us. If you are just joining us, this is Journalist Hangout, and we are looking at the verdict of the Court of Appeal. After just 24 hours after that verdict, by this time yesterday, they were still there reading the longest in history, longest judgment we've seen in the history of election litigation in Nigeria. It started at about 9:20 a.m. and ended around 9:50 p.m. 12 whole hours, but not 12 hours of dispensing justice. Let me ask you, MJ. Now, looking at another issue raised was this issue of allegation of money laundering.
Yeah.
Against Bola Tinubu.
You see, the court decided that. Well, before I go to that, I think let me give a background on how the Court of Appeal arrived at those men. I mean, those wise men, quote and unquote, 5 of them. We have 3 of them Christians. 3 of those justices, Christians. That's Justice Haruna Simon Samani, is the chairman of the panel, is a Christian from a PDP state of Bauchi. Is actually from Dogara's local government.
Okay. Local government.
Yes, that's the chairman of the panel, Haruna Simon Samani, and is the registrar of the Court of Appeal. So, and in the hierarchy of the Court of Appeal is number 11. So, and on this panel is the most senior. There are 73 justices of the Court of Appeal in Nigeria today in the 21 divisions. So, the management of the Court of Appeal, headed by the PCA, the president of the Court of Appeal, did a due diligence in appointing the justices that sat on this panel. So, out of the 5 of them, 3 are Christians, 3 are from PDP control states. Only Stephen Jonah Ada is from Kogi, and he practices in Asaba. And Asaba did that decision. So, for Justice Mistura Bolaji Yusuf, she also practices as Asaba. She's from Oyo State, and from a PDP control state of Oyo, Bolu Komo Moses Ugo Justice practices in Kano, and is from Bayelsa State, a PDP state, while Ababelo Mohammed, the other Muslim, apart from Justice Mistura and Ababelo Mohammed are the 2 Muslims on the panel. So, he practices in Ibadan, a PDP control state. He is from Kano State, state of origin, controlled by the NNPP. So, you can see that a balanced tribunal of 5 panel members. Now, coming to the issue of the
Money
laundering.
against Bola Tinubu.
Yeah, the court said it is not a criminal forfeiture, but rather a civil forfeiture. A criminal forfeiture means that you are being convicted, you are being jailed, and sentence passed on you. That is a criminal forfeiture. But
Convicted,
convicted,
and sentenced.
jailed, and sentenced. You must have gone through the whole log of the court process. But this one, the essence of this is for government to recover its money like we have in the case of Sonny Abacha. It is justice in rem, which means it is a civil procedure that allows the government to recover its money. You see, in these past few days, I've almost become a senior advocate of Nigeria, and I think they should.
Studying law.
Yes.
Quoting law.
You see, because what I've learned, I was listening to Professor Killer yesterday, and it dimensioned all of this, and also Chief Clark, Chief Ike Clark, 85-year-old. He said he's 85 years old and he has done more than almost about 40 years at the bar. This is one of the richest judgments he has had in history. I mean, for somebody like Clark,
Not doctored.
Not doctored. He said so. And I'm quoting him. So, he dimensioned all these cases that how can you go to court and be citing other cases? They were citing criminal forfeitures. A criminal forfeiture is different from a civil forfeiture. In a civil forfeiture, the government will recover its money and allow you to. It's like a plea bargain.
Okay, Wale, let's quickly go to the protracted certificate issue. Even before the judgment, after the judgment, it's still something Atiku Abubakar had taken to Chicago University and is still a subject of litigation in the United States of America today.
Well, for me, I think for anyone who is a journalist like myself and you have been covering politics for a long time, there are some cases people take to the tribunal just for political reasons. They want to invoke sentiments. They know it's not true, but they are bringing it up for political reasons. Because I'm saying this because this case has been on since 1999. And I remember that in the days of President Obasanjo, he did everything possible to bring out, water from stone, something from nowhere about this particular case. People went to court, they did everything. 1999 election, 2023 election, all these things came up, debated, in the public space, taken to court, court made pronouncements. So, and I don't know why continuously, after about 20-something years, we still bring up this case. Something that that just if you Google to check whether someone has attended university, you get your facts. If you go to the US and under the Freedom of Information Act, apply. You don't need to go to court. They will give you information about people that attended their school. These facts are there. So I think for taking that case to court, it's just a question of people just want to
the court records.
No,
They want to get the records in school.
Yeah, you can.
They want to get the records.
You can get records.
Atiku applied to get the records.
Yeah, you can. I'm saying that it's been on and on. Records have been promoted.
Went to the school.
Omokri even paid to get the records.
Went to the school.
So everybody is aware. So I don't know why this thing keeps on reoccurring. But I had an interview with the late Akinjide, former Attorney General of the Federation, and he told me one thing. He said, to win a case in court about presidential election, there are two things you need to rely on: the theory of circumstance. That means you need to bring evidence. You make allegations about rigging and all that, but which political? Then the theory of substantial compliance. Yes, there are irregularities, but are they enough? Are they substantial enough to upturn the scale?
Yeah.
So if you are talking about irregularities, there are irregularities everywhere, including Southeast, including Borno, but they are very few. they are not substantial enough to undermine the fundamentals of the election.
Jide, yesterday when I got the story about this woman from the Senate, Natasha, in Kogi State, that she won her election, and at the same time this case was on, and I discovered that it's very, very difficult to actually prove for over 176,000 polling units across the country to prove beyond reasonable doubt. That means we are talking about the place of evidence in litigation. Throughout, these judges kept talking about, lack of evidence.
Yeah.
Throughout, in about 169 places.
1,000.
Oh, well, I don't think you need to even provide evidence from all of the polling centers in our country. But the question is, what is the evidence that they provided? Bringing journalists to court to come and play video of INEC chairman announcing that they are going to post on IREF. How will that help you to win in court? That was a promise. And the man claimed that they had glitches, and because they had glitches, he could not fulfill that promise. So you wanted to use that, you brought people from 2 TV stations, and you got them to play videos of the man at a press conference making a promise. And they said on election day, they couldn't use it. The polling officers that were interviewed also said that they found it difficult to post stuff on IREF because of those glitches that they are talking about. Listen to what Justice Mistura said. It is obvious that the petitioners were just fixated on the belief that they won the election without any credible and cogent evidence, and they did not bother to place any such evidence before this court. Were they expecting the court to gather evidence from the streets or markets, or were they hoping the court would be swayed or intimidated by threats on social media? This is not how the courts operate. So they didn't really bring evidence. We've seen presidential election petitions in our country. We've seen much bigger evidence provided, yet people didn't win. In this case, they provided little or nothing, and you could see the judges schooling them, teaching them how to do this work. One of the judges even cited a book, cited what somebody wrote in a book, one of the lawyers.
Yeah, articles.
To defeat the argument that they came up with. Even Jagede's matter. Jagede contested, Jagede is one of Atiku's lawyers. He contested for the governorship election in Ondo State. The judges used the conclusions from that petition. They used it to debunk an argument that Jagede brought to court. So I think that at the end of the day, you must impress the judges. You must provide solid evidence. And our law clearly envisages that it is impossible to have a perfect election. And that is why the law talks about substantial compliance. It is not saying substantial is not complete. It is not asking for complete compliance. The law is asking for substantial compliance. Once substantial compliance is achieved, you have won the election. You have won. So this is the thing. They must work harder next time. Atiku has indicated that he is going to the Supreme Court. Honestly, if you had asked me whether I was sure that
No, lost battling with connection with Jide. Now we want to look at the role played by the social media in all this. An hashtag was created all eyes on the judiciary, and some even went to give you the profile of the judges. Some even alleged that one of the judges actually resigned. He was intimidated and he resigned. Meanwhile, he had his judgment yesterday, and his judgment was so brutal.
But I'm going to read from the judgment of Justice, just excerpt.
It was alleged some days ago in social media that he was intimidated and everything, that he had to step down. Meanwhile, that was the judge that gave one of the most brutal judgments.
It's from Bayelsa State, like I said earlier, a PDP state.
Actually,
now
it's not true.
Of course, he gave his judgment, and he said, first I take Abia State. Only there are alleged second respondent. Only there they allege that the second respondent, which is Tinubu, allegedly the favored candidate of INEC, quote and unquote, only gathered a miserly 8,914 votes against the Labour Party, who scored 327,000 votes in Abia. And he said, if you are claiming that this man, Tinubu, is the friend of INEC, so how come you scored 327,000 votes and he scored only 8,000 votes and they did not upturn it in his favor in Abia? He went on to Enugu, where he said INEC credited Tinubu with 4,772 votes, while Labour Party got 428,690 votes. Yet, INEC is Tinubu's friend, while it's Labour Party's enemy. He now went to Lagos. Of course, I want to just paraphrase. He said, even in Lagos State, where the second respondent, that is Tinubu, was governor for 8 years and still dominates that's his support base. He lost by about 10,000 votes. So the Labour Party candidate, Peter Obi, and you say INEC is his friend. In Abuja, the federal capital, where INEC has its headquarters, you defeated this man. You didn't even allow him to have 25%, where you now say, because he didn't have 25%, you are the winner of the overall election. So now he's still INEC's friend. You don't stand logic.
Quickly, let me take this one to Jide. The role of the social media in all this.
Yes, all of the intimidation and all that, clearly, just as Femi Falana said, some of the people were voting for the first time. And because they were voting for the first time, they expected that their candidate must win. Let me read what Femi Falana said. This is the first time the judiciary is experiencing an unprecedented level of blackmail. Some of the people involved in this election are voting for the first time, and they believe, rightly or wrongly, that their candidates must be declared the winner. We've had election petitions from the colonial era, but none of them have seen such a high level of blackmail and intimidation directed at the judiciary. The judge of judges is to examine the evidence, apply the law, and deliver a decision. Justice Okoro, JSC, complained while giving that judgment on May 28th this year that judges continue to.
Wow. Let's come back to the social media. The impact of the social media. Yeah.
Well, I think there is a generation gap, and a lot of people without deep sense of history. Well, freedom of speech, people need to express themselves, but I think we should do so with some level of dignity, because I don't think it makes sense for people to be propagating falsehood, to be making statements that are not correct, and also to be attacking, to turn ourselves to the Supreme Court judges, making proclamations, attacking people and all that. I think that is, morally repugnant. I don't think it's right. And I want to advise people who do that they are doing justice to themselves, they are doing justice to the country, and they are doing justice to the judges, to humanity. We should allow the judges to go about their work, and then whatever decisions that they take, I think we must be prepared to accept such decisions. I'm not also surprised because, like Babajide said, a lot of people are not conscious of what has happened, and they don't bother to read about their own political history. They are just judging by impulse of the moment, you know. Because if you understand the way things work, you must know that the judges can only judge based on the evidence presented to them. And if with this kind of
based on the evidence,
facts,
cannot go
figures,
out like that.
That is it.
So everything that happened yesterday was actually done.
You just need to read. If you are educated, read from beginning to the end. You will satisfy yourself that, look, I'm happy these judges have done a very good job. You know, there was a case they started irregularities, the petitioners, in 8 states. Out of those 8 states, you have Osun. APC did not win Osun. They started Lagos, won by Labour Party. Then they started Oyo. They started Rivers and all that, Yobe. So why did you have to cite Lagos and Osun, even when, PDP won in Osun and then Labour Party won in Lagos? So there are all sorts of contradictions. And if you are intelligent enough, if you read it, you know that this is a very, it means, in fact, it's a thorough judgment, that I think has enriched the quality of, jurisdiction in our political history.
Jide, let me take you to the quality of judgments. It was 12 hours plus. And what are those things that you continue to remember in this judgment?
No, the judges demonstrated depth and precision. Deep explanations were offered. They made it so easy. And I can tell you, they've made the job of the Supreme Court extremely easy because they simplified everything.
Network. Quality of judgment.
Yeah, they made it so simple, just like Jide was trying to explain there. I was glued to my television for the whole 24 hours. And from the lead, from the chairman of the panel, Justice Samani Haruna, right up onto Justice Mistura. Quality, I mean, there is something that you pick from each of those judgments. And I think to cap it all, Chief Edwin Clark has a word for the lawyers or for the legal counsel of both Atiku and Labour Party. He said, you should study the psyche of the lawyer or the judge you are going to meet, and also prepare very well. And he now quoted Justice Ekiti, where he said, the court of law do not give judgment according to public opinion or to reflect public opinion unless such opinion represents or presents the state of the law. So, all this public opinion that the law does not operate on sentiment. You see? So, you must present your case, bring the facts on the table, and that's why Justice Mistura told them that, come, you don't expect us to go on the streets or into the market to pick evidence for you. You have to come here and prove. You cited 100, you claim you have 133,000 agents in all across the country. You cannot bring just one agent. Is that?
Let's go through the quality of judgment.
Yeah. I think if you look at the language, the syntax, the premises, the logic, the symbolic logic, and then the conclusion, I think this is a collector's item. Reading through, detailed judgment, taking every cobweb, and, extracting it and isolating it, dealing with it substantially. I think this is quite impressive. And it lasted for so many hours. Even while some lawyers were sleeping, these judges were active, delivering their judgments with all sense of responsibility, with vigor, with determination. And I think I'm really impressed that in spite of the bullying, in spite of the loitering you see in the social media, in spite of the assault, the terrorism, social media terrorism, they live up to expectation, they live up to the dictates of law, and they were able to give Nigerians justice that we are all hoping for. However, I think judgment is one thing, The government now needs to win the hearts of the people. And we are all waiting to see that happen.
PKO, they have 60 days from now to go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
What do you see coming? They have that right to actually exhaust the final option.
Atiku has already said that he will go to court, and I know him very well. I could have decided to swear to God again on air that Atiku will go to Supreme Court. If you had asked me, I expected that he would not be satisfied by this thorough judgment. Those judges demonstrated depth and precision. And what they have done will really enhance the quality of our jurisprudence in this country. Many lawyers are happy about the deep explanations that the judges offered. Look at the matter of Tinubu. The judges said there is no evidence that Tinubu was convicted in the US for drug trafficking. They said Tinubu was not indicted, was not arraigned, was not tried, or convicted. So it settles the matter of, the forfeiture. It is not US money. It's just a matter of suspicion that an account had been used to commit infractions, and they decided to take that decision to literally find that account. Tinubu didn't steal government money. It's different from what we had with Abacha. Abacha stole Nigerian money. So it was made to forfeit what he stole, and it was sent back to us. These are completely different matters. So this has put to rest the ambiguity that some people had. I know that in spite of this judgment, some people are not placated. To them, if judgment doesn't go in their favor, then it is a bad judgment. It means that the judges are bad. When it went against the APC in Zamfara, we didn't hear that. When it went against David Leon, who was already rehearsing for inauguration, we didn't hear them say that. So some people in our country, unless the judgment is in their favor, they will never be happy. So Supreme Court, thank God, is just 60 days. So in 60 days, we are sure that the Supreme Court will do justice. And I tell you, the Justice Samani and the rest of them have done a very thorough work. It is the longest judgment in Nigerian history, after Awolowo's judgment and that of Atuche, the banker. This is the longest. They got up, they went on recess just for 15 minutes in 13 hours. Come on. And the lawyer got up and was telling them to hurry up. And they said, well, what are you talking about? Are you going to teach us how to do our work? He had to apologize. And at the end of the judgment, APC lawyer, at the end of the judgment, he got up and apologized again, so that he was lucky that they did not commit him to jail. People are working hard. You are standing up to tell them to rush. If they rush the thing, they don't do it thoroughly. Will you be able to defend them?
We can't exhaust this judgment
from social media.
It's not possible to finish dissecting it.
I think civil forfeiture, I'll end on that note, is an act in rem when the action of the courts or government is to recover the proceeds of unlawful activity. And for forfeiture can only be made after an indictment, trial, conviction, and the case properly prosecuted in a law court. And that has not happened in the case of Ashwari Bola Tinubu.
Yeah, to win in the court is a great thing, but it is a greater virtue to win in the hearts of Nigerians. Nigerians are passing through difficult moments. The government needs to address this issue. I think that will be the highest victory. If that is not done, I don't think there is cause for celebration.
Winning the mind of Nigerians. Nigerians are going through a lot.
Yeah.
I think that is very, very weighty, that this government must acknowledge the fact and whatever they are doing, they must do it expeditiously, so that we can feel the impacts of what they have on ground. I want to thank you, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. I want to thank you all the way from Maiduguri in Borno State. Thank you. I won't ask you when you are going to come back. I want to thank you, Wale Adeoye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And MJ himself.
Yep.
Yeah. So
thank you.
We'll still talk about the judgment after the program.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's an ongoing conversation. And that's our take today. Join us tomorrow, for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight for 11 p.m. Join us this Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout Special for Sunday. It's 2 hours. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Usubakun. Catch you on Sunday.
For me, what treat people anyhow. Imagine this officer. I will clear out one line.
Don't cost.
Bruh, come up there. Size no matter. The biggest dragon for Westeros, now small picking face down, blind bound. Formula 1, fear catch me.
He found the gold and asked her for just shaking me piece of the pie, and she killed him for it.
Obini. Fair women, no.
No one tells a story like we do. Showmax, Africa's original streaming service.
Thanks for calling Bastion HMO.
Thank you. Now that was my health insurance partner. Yeah, I was just as skeptical as you were about health insurance until I tried Bastion HMO. I got a healthcare plan that's right for me and my family. I have access to top quality healthcare services and facilities. We also get access to over 1,700 hospitals and clinics. Call 0800 Bastion, Bastion Health, the HMO that puts you in control.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Do you spend the night trying to get comfortable? Your knees rub bone on bone. Your back and hips ache. You wake up in pain? Not anymore. ShopX TV is proud to introduce the Contour Legacy Pillow, the patented, ergonomically designed tapered leg pillow that naturally fits the contours of your legs, knees, and thighs to help align your spine and alleviate pain. Watch, when you sleep on your side, your leg falls forward, twisting your pelvis and lower back, putting pressure on your spine, hip, and sciatic. But the Contour Legacy Pillow cushions your knees and cradles your legs, relieving stress on joints while restoring your lower back alignment. Sleeping on your side, your leg comes over and puts you out of alignment, causing lower back pain, hip pain, even knee pain. By using the Contour Legacy Pillow, it restores the natural alignment of the spine, helping to alleviate pain and pressure, leading to much more restful sleep. Old-fashioned leg pillows are bulky, but the anatomical design of the Legacy Pillow fits perfectly the shape of your body the way nature intended. You can even use two together for full leg alignment. Legacy Pillow is exclusively ventilated, so it always stays cool and dry. With top crescent design, it cuddles up to you perfectly and easily moves with you. Ordinary pillows go flat, but the Legacy Pillow is made up of soft memory foam, so it never loses its shape and the cover is machine washable. The Contour Legacy Pillow is now available in Nigeria, exclusively from ShopX TV. You could be paying up to 500,000 naira for an orthopedic bed that doesn't properly support your spine, but call the number on your screen now and get 2 Contour Legacy Pillows for just 69,900 naira and get relief from back and hip issues. But wait, if you call now, we'll give you 2 free Contour Cool Gel head pillows at no extra charge. Incredible! All for just 69,900 naira. And that's not all. Place your order now and we'll deliver to you with no shipping charge. That's free delivery across Nigeria. But hurry, this is an exclusive ShopX TV offer and only available for a limited period. So, call now while stock lasts. Your rest is your wealth.
The proceeding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear
It's a new chapter on the program, everyone. In the past 100 days, we have followed developments under the Tinubu administration, probing its policies and asking the difficult questions. So what happens next after his first 100 days in office? We thought he still has some 3 years and about 265 days remaining as president of the Federal Republic, and we need to keep him on his toes and make him accountable for his campaign promises. So we're also extending our review of performance to other elected officials across the country. Welcome to Beyond 100 Days. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Join the conversation now on X, formerly Twitter, with hashtag Beyond 100 Days. Remember to